discrepancies and figuring out what data we need on the next assessment track.
Okay. And when are you guys going back?
At the end of the semester.
Okay. So what lessons have you learned from all this then?
I can't really think of specifics, but like, there's a lot of stuff that we don't have because of communication issues in the community, but we've been working on those. So.
Okay. So really thinking about, a good reflection then moves you past. So what is that next step? So what did you learn from this and how are you going to apply it in your next setting? So let's say you're on the team again next year. What might you do differently moving forward? How about somebody in this row here? Wants to share. Okay.
I think that my group as a whole, we're going to reach our goals for this semester.
Okay.
What our project is we're making an app for the citizens of West Lafayette to be able to enter, there's a pothole here, can you guys come and fix it? Or, there's a telephone pole down, can you guys come and fix it? And there's a back-end website for the actual city engineers of West Lafayette to go in, and then they'll be able to see, there's an issue here that's pretty high severity.
Sure.
We should go do that now.
Okay.
A telephone pole falling down is a pretty big deal.
Right.
You're going to try to get to that as soon as possible. And our goals for this semester were to get the Android app up to par with where we wanted it, to start basic functionality for the iOS app, and then to be able to have the website, which was in pretty good shape, to be able to have it actually send back hey, this is done, so that way you can update the apps and be like, hey, that report that you filed, it's been completed. I think that as a whole, as a group, as long as we continue to work in class and meet outside of class, we'll get all of our goals done by the final design review.
Okay.
But I think that personally, even though my group is chugging along, at the beginning, I am completely new to this coding thing. This is my first time on this team, and I had no experience with JavaScript at all.
Right.
So I was very confused, and I would say that there was a lot of lack of communication on my part to where I had written some code, but it was not what they wanted me to do. So then that code didn't matter. And then I tried writing other code, but that code didn't work at all, so they couldn't use it. So by the time the mid-semester design review came around, I felt like, crap, I didn't really contribute anything to this, but I did work. So it was one of those things where I felt like I had worked really hard, I did what I could, but in the end I didn't actually contribute anything. So it was kind of like this weird conundrum for me.
So then based on that experience, what would you do differently if you were put in kind of the same situation?
So I actually, for the second half of the semester, given the circumstances, because I still needed to be on the team.
Right.
What I did was I realized that while I didn't have the technical skills, I was really good at the soft skills of being able to, make reports or update the design document or whatever. So I filtered out our design document and created 2 new documents to be able to help the team stay more organized. And then while using those skills, so that way the people who were good at the technical skills didn't have to step away and do this confusing report or whatever. While doing that, I also would shadow someone who actually knew what they were talking about, so that way I could learn the new skills while also contributing something to the team.
Right. So you did a really good job of not just saying, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to kind of ignore everything and move on, right? So you found out what your skills were and you applied those in the setting and then tried to learn the others. So that's a good lesson learned, yeah. How about you guys? What did you talk about?
Well, I'm on a team designing desks and chairs for an elementary school.
Oh, okay.
And so we're a little behind schedule because we were making our prototypes and we found this isn't big enough maybe, this might not be balanced enough, stuff like that. And so what we learned from that is to first of all budget more time for troubleshooting, and second plan things and get a visual of them earlier so you can find problems earlier. I think we can get back on track if we just put in a few more hours outside of class. But if we don't finish on time, what would happen is we won't have a prototype to deliver to our project partner. So we won't, or the project be able to take it and like ask the kids what they think about it,
Right,
if they
right,
like it. And so it'll take longer to get a solution.
Right.
to work.
And you're running up against the end of your semester and the end of their school year, and so you're kind of tight behind. Okay, so I think these are great moments for you guys to stop and really think about where you are in your project, and you should constantly be doing that. But I think the real important piece that I want you to think about as you're reflecting is what you've learned from it and what you're going to do about it. I mean, it's great to hear your stories, but it doesn't really matter if you're not going to do something about it to correct the path, right? Even if your project is super successful and nothing is going wrong and you are on track, there's still probably something that you could do if you reflect upon the project to make it even better, right? So it's really important to kind of take that time and sit and think about it. So just a couple tips I'll leave you with. It's hard to reflect with a lot of things going on. If you got TV going, you've got the internet, you're on Facebook, whatever you're on, it's a lot to really take a pause when you have all of that background noise. So take some quiet moments and think for a minute. When you're writing your EPICS reflections, take a few moments of silence to respond to them. Be attentive and mindful. So as you're going through your projects, be aware of what's going on. Think about what's happening. Internalize that. Practice acute observation. So you don't always have to be talking when you go talk to your community partners, you go interact with them. Sometimes it's best to just observe. You'll learn a lot from that process itself. Focus on what matters. Permit yourself to feel emotion. Hopefully you're somewhat attached to these projects by now, I hope. Maybe in a good way or a bad way, but still that's some emotion. That can come out in your reflection. And then they go beyond your personal perspective. That kind of links back to that very first session we had about examining your own biases, where you come from, what that means as you're interacting with your project partner. Can you relate to them? Can you understand their situations? And then ultimately use past experiences to link to the present. So that's really where you think about what has happened and you're going to learn from those experiences and link it to your present actions. All right? Okay, any questions or comments or thoughts about reflection? No? All right. Well, have a good afternoon. Go enjoy the sunshine. It's beautiful out there. Finally hitting spring.